So with the spring season now being done and officially over, with old shows finishing and new shows from the summer season coming out, I realized that there are quite a few shows from last season that I never got around to talking about, in a first reaction or otherwise. Which isn't technically surprising considering that there was 42 shows last season, and that's not including the 8 short series that I don't usually pay attention to, and the 37 OVA and films that also came out last season. Like, that's 500 episodes of anime. If I had the time to sit down and watch all that, I might as well just sit down and watch all of One Piece, just to see what all the hubbub is about. So apologies if some things have slipped through the cracks, Blood Blockade Battlefront being one of them. Well, Ore Monogatari is another one, but I'll get to that later. Maybe. Side fact about me, never believe me when I say I'm going to do a video on something until I actually do it. Just keep that in mind. Anyway, Blood Blockade. This show is one that I purposefully left till the end of the season, mostly because I could tell I was going to like it even before I started. If you've never heard of it before, it is a supernatural action-adventure from Studio Bones that takes place in New York, Manhattan specifically. Story goes that several years back, this dimensional breach portal thing opened up in the middle of the city, releasing a whole bunch of monsters, magic, and supernatural elements. Somehow, most of these creatures turned out to be rather friendly, leading to a wonderfully peaceful coexistence, for the most part. But, of course, not everyone is friendly. Without conflict, there is no action, which wouldn't make this an action-adventure, now would it? So, after a lengthy intro narration from a brother writing a letter to his sister about the events which presumably are about to unfold, the show opens up with our main character, Leonardo Watch, running in the streets of Manhattan. I only assume he's the main character because if a childhood of watching Digimon has taught me anything, it's that while the goggles do nothing, a main character they do identify. So he's chasing after a monkey that stole his camera and gets mistaken for a newbie member of the superpower group called Libra. As a kid, matching his hairstyle and goggles was supposed to join that day, but never showed. The mistake is not surprising considering how common his hairstyle happens to be lately. Despite his mistaken identity, he ends up welcomed with open arms. Mostly. Though it helps that he has the ability to see strange supernatural phenomena that the average human cannot. For example, the magical portal that opens up over the previously mentioned monkey that levels the top floor of the building they were meeting in. The rest of the episode is just a general chase after the monkey before the portal on his head explodes again or the nearby supernatural monster gets a hold of it. And that generally seems to be how the plots of the show are going to end up. Something supernatural occurs that Leo can detect with his special eyes, and he, along with the superpowered members of Libra, has to put a stop to it. There are hints of a greater supernatural being behind most of the mayhem, and by hints I mean the guy literally hijacks all the airwaves to tell people so, and we are not necessarily sure of what his game is. There is also a lot of world building to be done. You don't just plop this strange superdimensional portal in the middle of Manhattan, have aliens arrive, and just have everyone be okay with that without any sort of backstory or explanation. Like, where do the aliens come from? What are they like? What sort of supernatural abilities do they have? Also, how did some of the humans end up with superpowers a la Darker Than Black? Speaking of Darker Than Black, one of the things that I noticed while watching these first 3 episodes, which coincidentally is how much I watched for a first reaction such as this, is how many elements from other shows in the genre that they kind of borrowed for this one. The supernatural gates remind me of Darker Than Black. Most of Libra uses blood magic, similar to Kyokai no Kanata and Dead Man Wonderland, among others. Leonardo, with his whole eye-closed thing going on, is from countless shows that I'm not even gonna bother to list, and he also has magic MacGuffin eyes from, like, The Garden of Sinners and Tsukihime. The general feel of the show, though, reminds me all too much of Bakano, though the Manhattan setting and the jazz music is probably to blame for that. The one show, however, I was expecting to see elements from, but did not, was Trigun. And if you don't understand why I was expecting that, let me inform you that the original mangaka for the series was Yasushiro Naito, who was the creator of Trigun. Now, the only other 2 things I wanted to bring up quickly, because I really liked both of them, was the music and the dub. In just the first 3 episodes, it swaps between futuristic jazz, Beethoven, and a custom-made parody/homage of the classic What a Wonderful World from 1967. Not what you would find in your stereotypical soundtrack. Then again, this is a show that just wants to ooze style, from the music to the setting to the rather fashionable outfits that Libra wears. Now, the dub, since I only watched 2 episodes of it, episode 1 I watched in sub, I can only express my feelings about it like so. Holy crap, Aaron Dismuke. Not to outshine the rest of the rather well-casted dub so far, Aaron's voice was a bonus that I was not expecting. So between that and the amount of times that the show likes to dump massive amounts of text in front of you that you have to somehow quickly read, needless to say, I am going to watch the rest of the show in dub from now on, but you know, that's just my preference. One thing that kind of spells out a possible badness to me is the fact that when this video is supposed to go up on YouTube, like when you're watching this right now, the final episode of this series should have already been released, but has not. Now, they say that's because the final episode is a bit longer than normal and doesn't fit into its regular time slot, but the fact that it has an indefinite amount of time until it actually airs is worrying me. So that does not bode well, but at the very least, this so far has been far more enjoyable than a couple of other Bones shows that's come out in the last couple of years that I've watched, so there's that. But I'm just kind of really digging the style of the whole show, so with any luck, I don't regret feeling like that, and I don't regret telling people to go watch it, but we'll see. We'll see. So what did you guys think of the show? Let me know down in the Watchamajig, and if you're one of those kinds of people that are completely caught up with the show already, or have read the original manga, no spoilers, please. And if this video has piqued your interest, Blood Blockade Battlefront, which I did get right this time, great, is available on Funimation's website for streaming in North America if you happen to have access to it. In both sub and dub, though the dub is a couple of weeks behind. Also, it's behind their paywall, so that's something to keep in mind. So thank you for joining me on this first reaction. If you like this sort of thing, give me a like to let me know. And if you have any comments about the show or anything that you would like me to talk about in a first reaction kind of format later on, please also let me know down in the comments, as this is very much a work in progress and I am kind of making it up as I go, which is fun in a lot of ways. So until next time, ladies, gentlemen, and others, stay frosty.